Hello friends, we'll be discussing the journal entries that we have to pass when it comes to accounting treatment. Now, when we speak about accounting treatments, we need to pass certain journal entries because this is about transfer of rights, receiving payments, making expenses, etc. etc. So, each of this will have certain details here. Let's figure out what exactly do we have. So, the first thing that we are doing is accounting treatments in books of lessee. That means the one to whom rights have been given here and not the one who has given the rights. Lessor is the one who gives the rights. Lessee is the one to whom the rights are given. So, in the books of the person who has got the rights, rather from the person who has given the rights. So, the given rights are taken aside, the one who has got the rights from someone else. In that book, we are mentioning down these details. So, the first entry we are passing here. Now, the first entry that we have passed here is when royalty is payable. That means the person, if supposingly I am the lessee, I am using your rights, that means I am supposed to pay you royalty. So, in such case, when I am supposed to pay a royalty to you, then in that scenario, the entry that will be passed is royalty account debit as it is an expense for me and it is going to the landlord because you are the landlord, then royalty account debit to landlord account. This is the basic entry that will be passed. Now, royalty account will refer to the actual royalty and the landlord account will refer to the minimum rent that is supposed to be done. In that scenario, if there is any balancing figure, that is the short working. For example, if the minimum rent is 10,000 and the actual royalty is 8,000, that means the difference between them is 2,000, that is the short working. However, if the actual royalty itself is 12,000 and the minimum rent is 10,000, then there is no short working there. Actual royalty will be the part that is 12,000 and landlord account will be also credited with 12,000. So that is what you need to understand. Let's go on to the next entry now. Now the next entry is the first entry that we passed was the due entry. That means that was with due. Now this amount is supposed to be paid. Rather, it is paid right now in this entry. That means the name of the entry that we mentioned here is for payment to landlord. So let's pass that entry now. Now the entry that we have passed here is landlord account debit to bank account. Then the amount corresponding there will be minimum rent only. Minimum rent itself is the amount that will be passed. After this, we'll be passing the entry for transferring the royalty now. Now the next entry is for transferring the royalty. So the entry that we have done here is for us royalty is an expense, hence profit and loss account will be debited here and the royalty account that was opened up in the first entry will be credited here to close it down. So that was debited in the first entry. To close it, we have to credit it. Hence the entry will be profit and loss account debit to royalty account with the actual royalty amount being transferred there. So this is the entry that you have to pass. There are certain notes that we need to share with you. So let's note it down on the next page. So the note that we have mentioned here refers to the last entry that we have passed. That means profit and loss account debit to royalty account. In between that, we have to make certain distinctions. If the royalty is based on output, then instead of profit and loss account, you can mention manufacturing account or production account will be debited there. However, if the royalty is based on sales or any transaction related to sales, then either the trading account will be debited or the profit and loss account will be debited as per the question's requirement. This is one note that we have to mention. Now, let's go on to the last entry. Now, the last entry refers to the short workings being recouped. There are two scenarios in here. We'll explain it one by one to you. The first scenario is what we are discussing right now. Short workings are being recouped. Recoup means adjusted. So let's figure out what is the entry for that. So when short working is recouped, the entry that will be passed is royalty account debit to short working account and to landlord account. That will be on the credit side. Now let's figure out what is the amount that is supposed to be mentioned. Now the entry, rather the amount that we have mentioned is royalty account will refer to the actual royalty. Short working will refer to the adjustments that has been done, and landlord account will refer to the actual payment that has been done. So if the actual royalty is 10,000 and if the actual payment that has been done is 8,000, that means the difference of short working has been mentioned as recouped here. That is the short working amount. Now let's take the second case of it. Now, as short working is an expense, if it is irrecoverable by any chance, that means for any reason whatsoever it may be, if the short working or the loss is irrecoverable now, then that account will be closed. Rather, the short working account that was debited earlier will be closed by crediting it, and on the debit side, it will be mentioned as trading account, profit and loss account if it is from sales, manufacturing or production account if it is from output. So that is the entry that will be there. And the amount that will be mentioned here is the amount lapsed. That means whatever amount is irrecoverable, that amount will be mentioned here. So these are the basic entries that you have to figure out whenever the accounting treatment is done in the terms of or in the books of lessee, or rather whenever lessee is concerned, these are the entries that are supposed to be passed, because when you talk about lessee, it is more of the payment that he's supposed to make, more of the loss making or more of the royalty payment, etc., that he's supposed to do. So these are the details that you need to look after whenever you have to take, or rather whenever you have a chance to write down the journal entries for lessee. So this is what all we had in this video. Thank you for watching this video. Stay tuned with Ekeeda and keep subscribing to Ekeeda.